All right, guys. So, like I said, so from here on out tonight is pretty much just me trying to do some testing. Um, as soon as I make sure I get everything open that I need to get open. So at this point, I'll even be nice and leave the trivia bot running. How's that? That way you guys can have something to guess at. But I do want to work on some of these one-player games. Um, so my talking will be a little off, obviously. And thank you for that, Red. But yeah, this is basically us just basically testing and making sure a lot of things are visible. All right, so this is the spelling bee one. And I've got to remember what I need to do for this. Because this is part of it. Is like, there are certain ones where I have to like load up like multiple parts. And this is one of them. Spelling bee is slide 6, I think. Yep, that is slide 6 because that is the spelling bee one. Bum, 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 bum. Give me a minute because I'm gonna do something a little different from normal. I'm gonna add a little scene in here just to add it. And I'm gonna pull it out later, so. So I don't know how legible that is. You guys can yell at me if it's not. No, Shy basically took. She basically quit. She quit streaming. She still lurks on occasion, but she is spending time with Bleach and her daughter and family. It was basically, I think Shy tried to dive in too deep because she would do literally a cooking stream Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, rather than like doing gaming streams and stuff. So it was literally, um, I think she hit a case of burnout. I literally think she hit a case of burnout. All right, so I need to add one more window. All right, so this is going to be a little bit of an overlay. Like I said, this is the joy about having a 3-day weekend, is I can actually sit down and just talk and have fun with it. And like I said, anything you guys want to talk about, feel free to mention. And I'm more than happy to discuss and like talk about and a few other things. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna split these two windows. So it's gonna look a little weird, just so you guys know. We're gonna turn on the one-player game window. Oh, I don't need that one. So the one-player game is going to kind of be like just a little bit offset here. There we go. I think that'll work. I think that'll work. Alright, so we got to figure out, this is what we got to figure out for this one. I've got to load 3 smalls, and I got to load, actually I think I only need to load 3 smalls for this one. Alright, that one may be easier than I thought it was, because if I don't have to reload a car, let's get over to like I said, a lot of these are like lather, rinse, and repeat. This is slide 6. Why do I have a load car screen here? Case, so this is slide 6 equals and there's only 3. Oh, so actually this one is already preset for me. Because if I remember rightly, alright, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, price of the car didn't matter in spelling bee. All you had to do was spell it out. No, Nevada will never have a state lottery. Nevada will never have a state lottery. I will guarantee you that. Because they are not going to step on the toes of their big business. See, this is the other thing I got to figure out is why I'm getting repeats. I don't get repeats on the 100 stuff, but I'm getting repeats on the yeah, the gaming committee. It's like I was surprised when Mississippi actually approved gaming. They said they were still going to consider adding a state lottery. I don't remember if they ever did or didn't. But Nevada is a desert. Nevada's a desert. They've got one income source. That's gambling. That's it. Alright, so we're going to go over to the programming for slide 6. And we're going to lose a couple of things here. Alright, so we don't need to do any more line inputs. Because basically we named everything the same thing. So we named it basically sub retail. We named description was sub 100. Whoop, I can't type. Sub 100 info. I think. And then we have to change this a sub 100 pick. I think. I hope. This is the part that scares me because I've just changed it. I don't know what that line does. I don't know what this line actually is set up to do. You know, that's the scary part. Well, you got to remember when Harrah's went into New Orleans, they were the only casino allowed. That you have to remember. It was basically New Orleans had one license within city limits. Because they already had the lottery in place, and it was like, that's all you're getting. I'll move this over here so I can read your guys' comments while I'm typing. And I need to remove Jesus out of the way so I can see the screens. Alright, so let's take a look at our bumblebee line. So this needs to be, what did I call this? Sub 100 prize? Yes. Alright, so hopefully that fixes that. We're going to find out in a minute. We don't need the open functions in here anymore. It's what we're trying to get rid of. Alright, I see what I'm missing. No, I got prize image. Okay, prize image is in there. Yep, Tune, I actually do, my friend. And I deleted something I didn't want to delete. So I figured out what it's for. There we go. We're gonna keep that commented line out at the moment until I figure out what I need to do with it. So let's go back over to our module. We're testing slide 6 and slide 6 only. So we cheat and we say 6. This is what I have been doing all day, just so you guys know. Alright, so we're going to go to slide 1. And we are going to test it. And we're going to try to load and see what it gives us. I have no idea what this is going to do. Oh, it's buggy because it's not doing anything. So I got to go in here and stop the compile and run a debug. Except it didn't give me any error. Oh, there we go. It took a minute. Alright. Turned off. I want you to help me out on this one. Alright. Pick 2 of the 30 numbers. Doesn't matter which 2. All right, 4 and 12. All right, let's see if I have this right or not. If I click cross tour, it doesn't do anything. It didn't do a damn thing. All right, so I gotta fix that. This is literally what my testing is consisting of lately. Insert. Links. Action. Reveal description. Alright, so. Oh, I always forget. And this is the worst part, is I literally have to go in and delete the images the way the program is set up. Alright, so we're going to click the storage cabinet. It doesn't give me a price tag. It does not give me a price tag. That's what I was needing, was a price tag to show up. What does the reveal function? Let's see what this does. Okay, that works. Alright, I think we're good. Alright, turned off. The storage cabinet. I need you to give me what you think the price is within $10 high or low. Within $10 high or low, what is the price of the storage cabinet? It's an Acro Mills 10144D, 20 inch by 16 inch by 6.5 inch, hardware and craft cabinet, black. Alright, tuned off says $600. Actual price tag is $30. Alright, so no bonus letter for that one. Alright, so the next one is the backdrop. Alright, the backdrop is the Kate 10 by 6.5 foot brown wood backdrop for photographers, basically a green screen. Retro wood wall background, cotton cloth, seamless. Within $10 tuned off, what is the price of our backdrop? Now remember, everything in this is going to be less than 100. I'm using the less than 100 items for this one. $90. The price tag is $54. No second number for you there. Alright, and the third and final item is the wired keyboard. Have it RGB mechanical gaming keyboard, blue switch LED backlit wired keyboards with 104 keys with multimedia keys, volume control, phone holder for PC, games, laptops, and computers. Alright, tuned out says $50. It is $36. Oh for 3, tuned off. Oh for 3. That's all right. I needed to do that anyway because we're not adding anything to it. So we do a 4, gives you the C. The 12 gives you the R. We were not able to spell car. No winner. All right, so I think spelling bee works. I think spelling bee works, but we're going to make sure. All right, so let's just say we gave you 4 and 12 again. Get the losing out now. All right, so we start with the dash cam. Just give me a price for the dash cam, what you think is going to be. And again, it's going to be less than 100 for sure. Like I said, we're going to actually give you these regardless of whether or not you get them right. My goal is I've got to get the pictures to position correctly, more so than the gameplay. So just pick a price for the dash cam, Tune. $20. $76. All right, but like I said, we'll give you that one anyway, so we'll do 23. All right, Hilfiger. Tommy Hilfiger backpack Patriot color block canvas. Same thing, just give me a number you think it's worth. I think the spelling bee one is going to be all right. I think spelling bee is going to be all right. $41. Yeah, he actually won one. So let's just do 25. Like I said, I'm not worried about winning or losing or anything. Then we have the cheese board. Bambusi Natural Bamboo Cheese Board Set with hidden drawer and cutlery set. How much, Tune-Off? For a cheese board with a secret slidey place. You know, the funny thing is, I have found another site for prices that I actually like better than Amazon. Just because there are some screwy objects in there. All right, and then we'll do 29. We do 4, 12, 23, 25. Oh, no winner. Lots of C's, lots of A's, lots of C's. All right, but the good news is that actually works. So I didn't really have to change much on this one. Show all. And I'm just going to do that so I can reset the... Alright, so that one I think actually works like a dream right now. Sweet. I did not expect that one to edit that easy. Alright, so then we got to work on what's next. Oh God, I am not going to work on Stack the Deck. Alright, we're going to test take 2. I turned off my music. Oh, it's still doing duplicates. Why is it doing duplicates? I gotta figure out why it is doing duplicates, and it shouldn't be. Oh yeah, no, I accidentally hit the silence button on the keyboard. Why is it still doing duplicates? This is the part I gotta figure out. Set flag to true. Or we start from... Actually, I need to take that line out. That might have been my problem. Actually, let me do this a different way, just in case. Never remove, for those of you guys that are programmers, never remove a line until you know you've debugged it. Thinking that's my bug. Would you be okay with a... No. I would not, Tune. Let me put it this way. The AR-15 is still a standard one-shot, one pull of the trigger weapon, right? It is not a semi-automatic. It is not an automatic. Now, if you modify an AR-15 to be a semi-auto or an auto, then that's one of those cases where that's not what you bought. Yeah, but okay, let me ask you this, all right? I've never seen the purpose of a bump stock, honestly. I've never known a purpose of a bump stock. Bump stocks are not good for firing. If you were to ask me, would I allow for the sale of an AR-15 without a bump stock? Yes. The problem is you start picking and choosing what you can add and use. Is basically you bought the AR-15. Okay, you bought it as is. It's now yours. You have the right to do what you want with it in terms of modifying it. All right, let's put it this way. You buy, I'm trying to think of something I can think of off the top of my head, which is kind of hard to do. Because I want to get away from the car comparison. But I think I'm going to end up going back to car comparison here in a minute. You buy a motorcycle. Okay? You buy a part that basically you know in the cartoons where they had the little wheel extensions with the saws on them and so on and so forth. You want to buy one of those for your item? Fine. But if you use it, that's another question. Oh, I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. All right. I'm going to sell you a PC. I'm going to sell you a PC with hacking software on it. It's up to you whether or not you use the hacking software. But I'm going to sell you this PC for $1,000. I'll even throw in this little piece of software for another $500. Okay? I'm just selling software. I don't care what you do with it. I'm not responsible for what you do with it. But if you use it to hack something, who's that on? You or me? That's on you for using the software. Again, it's not that I don't think the guy should be dead or punished. I am glad that he is. No, but a knife is designed to kill. Okay? But a knife is also designed to hunt. What does a bump stock do for a gun, honestly? Oh, it fits in your arm slot better. Okay, I need that to go. And like I said, I know it's a really weird. I hate using the hunting examples. But let me ask you this, all right? And this I don't have a problem with. I go buy an AR-15. Okay? Does that make me a mass murderer? No. I go buy an AR-15 and a bump stock. Does that make me a mass murderer? No. Should it put a warning flag up? Maybe. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know much about AR. I don't because I would have swore AR-15 did not have auto select. And Spock's right. It makes you an idiot who doesn't care to conserve ammo. So your goal is just basically go out there and spray bullets everywhere. Now I do not have a problem. Oh, so and so bought an AR-15 and a bump stock. They need to be looked at. But once you buy something, it's yours. Okay, you can do whatever you want with it. If you are a threat to use it due to whatever reason, okay, then you need to be looked at. All right, what am I missing here? I am missing something on this. It's causing duplicates to be picked. I gotta figure out what I'm doing wrong for duplicates to be picked. Like I said, I am not unreasonable when it comes to saying there need to be background checks. I'm all in favor of reasonable background checks. Again, I don't think anybody that's ever had a felony on their record should ever be allowed to buy a gun. I don't believe anybody that has gone to a mental health needs to, or has been seeing a doctor for mental health reasons, needs to be able to buy a gun. And like I said, we don't know enough about this guy in Texas today. We don't know enough about it. We do know, like, for instance, a guy in Vegas should not have been able to buy a gun. Because he had mental health issues. The guy down in Florida had mental health issues. Or he had a record, as I recall. Like I said, I don't see a reason for bump stocks. And it should be a flag. Is there a solution to fixing the mass shooting epidemic? No, because bad people are going to do bad things. If I give you a multi, I'm trying to think how to say this. Right, he had mental health issues that were reported. They were in his report before he had bought the gun. They were reported before he bought the gun, but it was like Spock said earlier, nobody in NCIS, or whatever the database was, bothered to put him in there. Enforce the laws that are on the books. And that's the funny thing. There are, I want to say there are 32,000 gun laws on the books that don't get enforced. NICS, thank you. That was what I was trying to think of. I had to go through NICS when I bought Bubbles her handgun. I had to put Bubbles through an NICS. Because I told them I'm buying, and that was the other thing. I admitted I was buying for my wife to protect herself. You get some criminal that buys off the black market, there's no NICS. Alright, I think that was my bug. I think I found my bug. Ah! Let's find out. Now, see, if you are admitting to buying a gun on the black market tuned off, that is something I would not ever admit. You're breaking the law. You broke the law. You just told us you broke the law. Doesn't matter. All right, Spock, help me out on this one. That's the problem. You admit you broke the law when you bought the gun, and did you ever register it? All right, Spock, I need you to help me out on this one. Let's see if this fixes this. All right, we have the Ubiquiti UAP AC HD Unified Access Point. We have the 9-item tire bundle with Fuel Tactic Black 14-inch wheels. We have the Gatsby Model T Retro Scooter and the Sony Bravia 4K HDR television. But yeah, like I said, you admit to buying a gun on the black market, and that's between us and whoever watches this little post stream. That's problem number one. You went outside legal channels to buy a gun. That's red flag number one. Did you ever register the gun? Okay. That's the thing. Common sense, no offense intended, okay, says, was there paperwork for that weapon? Now, I'm not going to call you a criminal, all right? Because ignorance of the law is no excuse, all right? You met somebody on the street and said, I want to buy a gun from you, yada, 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 yada. Okay? They sold you the gun. You can and you can do this honestly. If you buy a gun from somebody with no paperwork, you can take it to any gun shop and get paperwork done on it. That's the thing people don't get. There are checks and balances in place. But the criminals don't care. They don't care that these processes are available. What it is basically you bought a gun, you're taking a chance that has never been used in a felony. Okay? It's what they call the private home sales thing. And I don't know all the details about it. But I will lay odds it was a handgun, correct? That would be my guess, is it was a handgun. You didn't go to somebody and say, I want to buy an AK-47 or an AR-15. Okay? I will be honest, I personally think private sales are fine as long as whoever's the buyer either gets the paperwork when they buy it or they register the paperwork as soon as they buy it. Exactly. They will run it, and it's, you know how long a gun check will take if the system is not screwed up? 15 minutes. Like I said, when I bought Bubbles her handgun, it was literally I bought the handgun, had the guy in the store run the check on the gun. Now, obviously, I bought it in the store so they'd already pre-ran the check. Because I know they're not going to sell something that's used in a criminal activity. Once you run the check on the gun and it's legal, you're clean and clear. Now, if you failed to do the check and then sold the gun back to somebody else, now you're like, oh shit, what did I do? Alright, I think I got take 2 working. So we have slide number 8 working. I only have about 20 more slides to work through. All right, let me give you. I can relate to this, tuned off. When I was in my 20s, all right, I worked at a hotel front desk. I got robbed at gunpoint. I did not go out and buy a gun after that just because it wasn't going to do me any good at the time. Plus I was young and dumb and thinking, who cares? But if that gun ever turned up after you sold it in the commission of a crime, how would you feel? Oh, they won't do anything to you. Like I said, there are laws on the books that do not get enforced anymore. Um, the argument will always be the rifles and the people that buy bump stocks. And like I said, I have no problem with mandatory checks on any gun attachment. I honestly have no problem with bump stocks being registered. I have no problem with what do they call them? Extended magazines being registered. But I am opposed to, again, but I don't blame the gun that was pulled on me. I blame the guy that had the gun in his hand. That's the difference. If you say let's ban all guns, you're blaming the gun, not the person that had it in their hand. By that argument, again, let's go back to the car, because there are more car accidents than, well, I don't know about the stat anymore. There are more car accidents, or at least there used to be, than there were gunshot deaths.
For $20,000, it must be exact.
Backseat driver.
Let's ban all the cars. And I'll give you another example, Tuned Off. Did you know in the UK and Switzerland. And I think these are the two countries I'm thinking of. Or not Switzerland, Sweden. There was at one point a desire to ban any knives because the increase in knife crimes. You were not allowed to, or it was under consideration, you were not allowed to own a Swiss Army knife. You were not allowed to own a hunting knife. You were not allowed to own a butter knife because the rule they had passed said knives. AOC is an idiot. She is a Dummkopf Spock that basically, I hope she runs for Senate because she's going to lose to Gillibrand if she does, and then she's out of my hair. Oh, see, I didn't know about the lockbox rule. I did not know about the lockbox rule if it was actually in place. Now comes my nightmare slide. Shit. I knew this was coming and I have been putting this one off. Alright, so this one we have to do a sub triple load. Oh no, she proposed it at one point. She proposed it at one point. She got laughed out by everybody.
This is the person who I'd like to play out a grain salesman. If you can figure out that it says rolled oats, then you're ready to play Bumper Stuffers. And now, the driving force on Bumper Stuffers, Al Dubois.
I have no idea how to get this one to work. Alright, so I gotta think about this one for a minute. My triple file ones are gonna be a pain in the butt. Triple file ones are going to be a pain in the butt because I need to load I got 3 different files. God, this is going to be a pain. Sub temp 1-ish. Let's see, temp 1, temp 2, temp 3 as string. Why is that? Why is that got? Oh, sub, because I didn't dim it. Damn it, wrong command. Pay attention, Dummkopf. No. It is not misconstrued, tuned off. They went through that with a fine-tooth comb. There is the banning of cars, the banning of cows written in there. It's actually in there. And everybody laughed about it because it's like, it can't be done. it, what you let me ask you this. All right, let's just go to your Green New Deal with AOC. She wants to be. When it was written up, it was and a lot of it was proposal to. Admittedly, there was a proposal to ban airline flights over the Atlantic because we should be doing a train across the Atlantic. You're in Florida. Remember this. Would you rather have a train going across the Atlantic in the middle of a hurricane, or would you rather be able to fly over and around a hurricane? I'm just asking. But no, there was a proposal. It was said again. The Green New Deal was not a, what do they call it? Enforceable act. It was one of those recommended acts. Shit. How am I going to do this? File base. I gotta figure this one out. Alright, file base equals car file. I think. Temp 1 will be any price, because that's where I'm pulling it from. So that'll be temp 3, because that'll be the car file. $2, trust me, it was now. It was not a domestic recommendation. It was not. I would have to find the article where they went through the whole thing line by line. But the proposal was no more planes, no more cars, no more cows. Sub and then 9 items slash oh wait, there we go. This is what I need. I need this. Like I said, the thing is, her heart is in a good place. It really is. I think it is. But I can say that about any youthful person that wants to change the world for the better. But when they pull stunts to try to say, yeah, but you gotta. The problem is with that tune is you've got to believe that we make that much of a difference in, and I hate the terminology climate change. We don't. We don't make that much of a difference. Like I said, if the concerns were true, all right, we would need to figure a way to bottle up every volcano in the world, or we're doomed. No, global warming is not inevitable. Again, this planet has been around for ever how many billions of years you think has been around. And no, I do not believe the 4,004 year joke or whatever those idiots claim. This planet's been around for billions and billions and billions of years. It has always, and I'll give you a perfect example here in a second. It's always found a way to renew itself. All right? And here's an example. In the Gulf of Mexico, in 1998, I want to say it was, and I may be off on my years, okay? They thought there was an oil pocket that had been drained. Okay? They swore up and down there was nothing left in there. I was getting to that one in a minute, Spock. I'll give you that one in a second. All right? They thought that this chasm that's under the Gulf of Mexico was empty. 10 years later, Mother Earth decided, with all the moving and the shuffling of the crust and stuff and the tectonic plates, it refilled. This completely empty, that we are going to burn through, oil reserve refilled to capacity. But I'm going to use Spock's example even better. Okay? In the 1880s, 1800s, what did people travel around on? What was the main method of travel in the United States in the 1800s? Oh, nobody's arguing against using something other than fossil fuel. Let us build nuclear power plants. Let us build a nuclear power plant in the United States. All right, horse and buggy. What do horses do? Just Tim, quick question. What do horses do? They crap all over the streets. Okay? Do you know what one of the worst causes of death was in the West? It was from people getting sick from the flies and the mosquitoes and the bugs that the horse crap gave us. We build cars. We no longer have horses crapping in the streets, bringing in diseases and bugs and garbage like that. And life expectancy went up. Our environment got cleaner because you didn't have horses shitting in the water. See, that's the funny thing is everybody says, well, that's a whole different argument. Spock, that's a whole different argument. So basically, the automobile. We'll get to the electric in a second. I'll get to the electric in a second, too. Okay? The automobile improved life quality, it improved the environment. Now, let me ask you this, all right, just out of curiosity. Let's say you have an electric car and you do not have nuclear power plants to produce electricity. Do you know how much it takes to burn to charge an electric car? I don't. I honestly don't know the exact number. I do know it takes more fossil fuels to charge an electric car than it does to run a gas powered car. I do know that. I do know that it takes more energy to produce enough energy to run an electric car for the same length of time that it takes to run a gas powered car. And it takes more to run a gas powered car than it does a diesel powered car. My wife, for instance, has a friend who moved to New Hampshire. They made, well, hold on. They made a car that ran on vegetable oil. Exactly. Future advancements will get you there. But until you get there, don't knock what we have. That's the problem. That's the problem is, oh, we're going to get to electronic cars or electric cars that will run forever. Where are they? Even Elon Musk has said it's going to be decades before a electric car can get to that point. And Elon Musk is as far left as you can get when it comes to environmentalism. He has said it will take decades to get there. I have said it before and I will say it again. Let us make nuclear power plants. But because of 3 Mile Island, because of Jane Fonda, because of the accidents in Russia, and if you are using Russia as your example as to why things don't work, you got a really low bar. Do you guys heard about the nuclear plant that blew up in Federisk or whatever it was? Do you know that it had not passed a safety inspection in decades? At least that's what they said. Is it had not passed to a Russian. They put together a nuclear plant that was very well done, from what I read. They put it in the equivalent of an aluminum shed and called it secure. See, that one we agree on. That one we agree on. Now the problem is, and I will use Florida as the example. No, wind is not efficient. Solar and wind are not efficient. Um, all right, tuned off. You're in favor of letting us build a nuclear plant. Can I build it just outside of Orlando? It's called the NIMBY problem. It's great, but you're not doing it in my backyard. Yeah, nuclear has hazardous waste, and Yucca Mountain is proof of that. And it goes through rigorous testing. But how large were they allowed to make it, Tune? That's the question. How much can it power? Again, 3 Mile Island was the worst thing that happened to environmentalism. Or Fujiyama, for instance. There was no way, and Fujiyama was what they called a level 5, I think it was level 5 safety. If the whole world got windmills placed every 6 yards and you complete, here's what people that say wind is effective for. Okay, here's the problem. A wind farm, to be efficient, all right, has to be at least, if I remember rightly, and somebody can look it up and tell me I'm wrong, has to be at least 2,500 acres of just that, 6 yards apart. You ever seen a windmill turbine? I have. I got one. There's one in St. Louis. It's a standalone windmill. It's 30 feet per blade, I think. Maybe it's 15 feet per blade. I can't remember. You cannot put windmills 6 yards apart. And then, let's just point this out. The animal environmentalists are going to have a hissy fit because of all the birds that died. The power used in Vegas would require a turbine farm twice the size of the state of Nevada. I didn't think it was that large. I thought it was half the size of Nevada. I thought it was half the size of Nevada. I'm not. I like I said, it's been so long since I've actually discussed those sort of type of things. Um, the example is the solar farm in Nevada. There's that one big solar farm. I can't think of the name of it. They cannot produce enough power to power Reno for an hour. That was their findings. Is that the solar farm in South Nevada, which is huge, it's one of the biggest in the United States, cannot power Reno for an hour before it has to be shut down and reset. And then started back up again. The two greatest things that have ever been designed energy wise are nuclear plants and fracking. Until we get cold fusion, and I honestly believe at some point cold fusion will come into being, those are the two best energy sources with the minimal amount of requirements. Fracking is not dangerous. Fracking is not dangerous. The only place fracking is dangerous is when they frack on fault lines that already exist. I don't know enough about. No, see, that's just it, Tundov. It is not dangerous to clean water supply unless you frack on a fault line. See, that's the thing everybody says is conservatives want dirty air, dirty water. No, I drink the same water as those on the liberal side. I breathe the same air as a leftist breathes. Why do I want dirty air and water? No, he was pro fracking on where he shouldn't have been. There are certain, like I said, you do not frack on a fault line. That's common sense. But every one of his approved areas was a fault area. Most of the time, if it wasn't a fault area, he's like, you can't do it. Couldn't do it. Nope. Can't prove that it's useful. Alberta's been fracking, and Red can back me up on this one. Alberta's been using fracking for a decade now. I haven't heard about any dirty dirt waters on fire in Alberta, Canada. Now, that's not to say it may not have happened, but I haven't heard about it. The Alberta oil sands are freaking waiting to be used. Like I said, to me, nuclear is at the top of the list. We should do as many nuclear plants as we need securely. Fracking is second because it does the least amount of environmental damage. Then you can get into the deep drilling and the offshore drilling and so on and so forth. And then down at the bottom is solar and wind. Now, I'll give you an example. Uh, and this is what I'm fairly knowledgeable on, okay? Because this involved the state of Missouri. Missouri and Illinois have a very crappy electrical system or electric company. We have one monopoly here. It's called Ameren. Ameren basically put out a proposal and said, you guys put these solar panels on your houses and we will give you refunds for whatever energy you push back into the system. They went along the dreamland route. Very few people took them up on this offer. The people that took them up on this offer not only saw their normal energy usage increase because you're given the battery. Okay, but then you're getting back into NIMBY tuned off. Then okay, you don't want to see drilling rigs off the coast of off of your coast of Florida. If wind power was so great, okay, why did Mr. Bernie Sanders, of all people, shoot down a wind farm out in the ocean outside Massachusetts? I think it was Massachusetts. Because it blocked his view. Nope, don't want it. Not in my backyard. But we gotta be environmentally conscious. It's great when it's on somebody else's yard. But when it's on your own yard, let's think about this for a minute. No, he canceled his Poland trip. He canceled his Poland trip because of the hurricane. Or are you talking about the wind farm? No, the wind farm was Bernie Sanders. It was Bernie Sanders and Ted Kennedy. They're the ones that literally shot that down every time. Well, wind power is so great, but you can't do it here. We need wind power, but nope, can't block my view of the ocean. And no, to answer your question, yeah, but Trump has never been a pro-wind person. There's a difference. Trump has never been we need wind power for alternative energy. I don't want wind power for all. If he said we need wind power alternative energy, and then he said, but I can't have it on my property. Okay, then you have an argument. But he's never been that. No, 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 no. There, I am not. There are only two Democrats that you guys should consider, and that is Tom Breyer and Tulsi Gabbard. That's it. Those are the only two Democrats that a sane Democratic supporter should be supporting. And they're not perfect. Hell, I will admit, Trump's not perfect. He is far from perfect. He is basically, you hit me, I hit back harder. I think she's giving it till the because she's one of those that complained about the polls for the last debate. She may give it till the next one. I think. If she's out, I haven't heard yet. I know Gillibrand's out. Hickenlooper's out. Those are the only two I've heard of, to my knowledge, that have dropped out. Why? Why Yang over Breyer or Gabbard? No, she missed the cut for. She was complaining because she was actually leading in one of the polls, and MSNBC or CBS didn't count it. And she was pissed. So she's basically, if she hasn't dropped out yet, and again, I don't know if she has or hasn't because it's the weekend. I don't keep up with my politics on the weekend. If she's dropped out, I haven't heard yet. But I heard that she was going to hold out at least till the next poll cutoff. That's what I heard. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I do not know if that is true or not. But yeah, she was upset because one of the polls that she was leading in, the DNC said we're not counting it. It was basically Bernie Sanders from the last. All right, what solutions, Tomb? That's the question. What solutions? Nope, not Oxford. I know this one. Name me one solution that isn't going to bankrupt a country that Yang has. You can pick any category, whether it's Medicare, whether it's illegal immigration, whether it's jobs, whether it's the environment, whether it's energy. And then I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Or 2 questions. And this will be one of these questions where you're going to find out my belief stance, okay? So if you guys don't like it, I'm going to apologize in advance. It's what I believe. I'm not apologizing for what I believe in, but the fact that I'm apologizing that you guys have to listen to me say it. Just because you say someone has a solution doesn't mean they have a solution. And I'll give you a perfect example. Okay? I voted Democrat for president one time. And that's because I saw Bill Clinton as a blue dog Democrat when he first started. I was wrong, but he wasn't as bad as he could have been. Okay? I voted for Bush Jr. twice because I was a fan of his proposal to privatize Social Security. He had what he said was a solution to keep Social Security from growing broke. Was he able to get that through? No, because he was not allowed to privatize Social Security. And I'll give you an even more recent example. Yes, I voted for Trump. Did I vote for Trump because I like him? No. Did I vote for Trump because I thought he could do everything right? No. You want to know why I voted for Trump? I voted for Trump because of the Supreme Court. It's the only reason I voted for Trump. He wants to reform. That's not a solution. That's what I want to work on. Hell, I will give Clinton credit. He busted his butt to try to reform welfare. Didn't get everything that he wanted out of it. And here's where your problem with Yang is. And I just realized where you're going. Okay? Yang is a believer in the UBI, Universal Basic Income. That basically says the U.S. government, and I just remembered this right when you said that the U.S. government should give every U.S. citizen $5,000. Or whatever number he says that they're supposed to give. All right? What you don't pay attention to when he says that, Tuned Off, is, well, we're going to get that money back by raising taxes on this, on this, on this, on this, and you're right back where you're starting. Here's the thing, though, about loopholes. Loopholes only work for a year or two. Amazon got a loophole, yes. You see what happens in New York? AOC and a few leftists, and I mean hardcore leftists, not liberal leftists, basically fought it, shut it down. Okay? Because of the tax loopholes. So all those jobs that were going to go to New Yorkers are now going to Virginians. Because Virginia said, we'll give you a tax break because you're going to pay employees. We're going to get a payroll tax out of them. You're still going to pay a payroll tax. It wasn't like Amazon wasn't going to pay any taxes. It was Amazon's not going to pay taxes, extra taxes on profits. That's not on the government. That's not what the government is responsible for. Okay? That's the problem. Okay, automation takes away, we get the fast food kiosks. You guys remember that, right? $15 an hour, $15 an hour. Oh, wait a minute. I can put in a computer. They can order from the computer, and I don't have to pay $15 an hour to this guy? All right, all you guys that want $15 an hour, bye. Now, those people that are claiming for $15 an hour, they don't want to go learn, don't want to go get skills, okay? I'll take that $60 an hour job to repair the computers when they're not working. I'll take that $24 an hour job to do the programming. Guess who won out? The guy that was willing to learn and adapt. Yes, exactly, Spock. And I have a very hardcore liberal friend on a board that basically says we need to go to the Bismarck thing and we need to do VAT and we need to do consumption taxes and so on and so forth. Beat the rush, tuned off. That's your responsibility. That's my responsibility. It's not the government's responsibility. The government's responsibility is to give you an opportunity. Hell, Amazon's the one that came under fire not too long ago when they were bragging about their $15 an hour pay. We're going to beat the minimum wage thing. And then it's like, oh, but you guys are only going to work 24 hours a week or 25 hours a week. You make less. Right. We know everybody's not capable of being a computer programmer. Okay? We know everybody's not capable of repairing a computer. Talking about, hell, let me ask you this. Are you pro-Trump or anti-Trump? Let me just ask. He's talking about the problems. Okay, that's why you like Yang. Are you pro-Trump or anti-Trump? I'm just curious. And there is a guy that is a streamer that I like, okay, who basically has turned into TDS. Maybe his plan won't work. Maybe it's not affordable. We don't know. So it's like, are we going to put him in and let him try it? And if it blows the country up, we're screwed? Like I said, look at Sweden. Or not Sweden, Denmark. They're doing UBI. They can't afford it. That's Denmark, which is like tiny in population. Tiny, 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 tiny in population. And you want to do 3.5 billion Americans? No, now you have to remember, when we voted Trump in, and again, I didn't vote Trump in for his policies. I voted Trump in because I knew at least one Supreme Court justice was retiring. That was the only reason I ever voted for Trump. Okay, they don't make the amount of money the United States makes. All right. Are you talking about the money that the country makes or the people in the country make? Because you have to remember, Countries don't make money. That's the thing that I try to get through to people. The country of the United States of America does not make money. It takes money and decides where to spend it. It makes it so that you can go out, create a business, and make money on your own. Yang is of the opinion that the country makes the money and that everything we make belongs to the United States. No, see, I will disagree there. I will disagree there. And I will disagree there because of year one when Trump went into office. Okay? We have to get, and I'm tuned off, I don't know how old you are. All right? I want you to go back to John F. Kennedy. Okay? I want you to go all the way back to John F. Kennedy. Do you know what the tax rate was on businesses before JFK? I'm just curious. Do you know what the tax rate was on any business in the United States? Let me rephrase that. Any large business in the United States prior to JFK? And I'm going to explain to you why tax cuts work. It was 75%. Every dollar a company made, they had to give 75 cents to the United States government. So what did they do? Oh, wait a minute. If I go over to Ireland and do my business and set my business up there, I don't have to give the United States anything. All right? So now, or my subsidiaries do, but my big company doesn't. So now, my company's over in Ireland. I'm giving the United States $0. All right? Or, you come back to the United States, JFK dropped it to 20 or 30, 35%, I think. And companies said, oh, wait a minute, we can afford that. I'm going to move back over to the United States. I'm going to give you 35 cents. And then I'm going to pay American employees. I'm going to pay 37%. Okay, I knew it was something like that. So now instead of getting $0, the U.S. government's getting 37%. And it was climbing and climbing and climbing. Again, Congress is like, oh, we're going to charge you another 20 cents. Oh, we're going to charge you another 10 cents. It kept going back up and up and up. Hey, Silent, we're actually having a political discussion tonight. What did he do his first year? He cut the taxes. You saw Monsanto, Pfizer, and who was the third company? There was a third company that came back. And our revenue actually went up. Now, Congress was an idiot and spent more than the revenues went up. That's a different argument. Caterpillar did not go to Mexico as they had planned. There was another major construction company that was going to go to China that didn't go as planned. Volkswagen. I can't remember if Volkswagen did go to Mexico or not, but this was like right before their diesel EPA issue. I can't remember if they did or didn't go into Mexico. I got to think about that one. I'd have to go look that one up. So it's like economically, we are where we should be. I don't need a country that basically has a 4% growth in GDP every year. As long as it grows a little bit. When you get your pay raise, do you get mad because it's not 5%? No, no, hold on, we'll get to that one. You're happy you got a 1% pay raise increase because you got a pay raise increase. Now, see, that argument I still say is BS. Okay? I could argue that Bush was divisive, Obama was divisive, Clinton was divisive, George Bush the first was divisive, Ronald Reagan was divisive, depending on who the power broker was. No, 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 no. I can't do that. I cannot do that. Because, and this is what I always say, all right? When you look at a president incoming, okay, the first 8 months, you have to give, or no, is it 6 months? 6 or 8 months. You have to look at the policies that are enacted by the previous president and the policies that the new president bring in and go with it. No, it wasn't 7 years of growth. As much as you would like to believe that turned off, it was not 7 years of growth. I would have to go find the numbers, okay? But there was, I want to say, because George W., he had the recession that he just couldn't do anything with his last year. So I don't blame Obama for like the first couple of years. That was basically, we hit a global recession. You got to remember, Greece went broke. Greece was broke, and they owed us money. Turkey was broke, I think. We were still in Iraq and Iran, so that is still bad. It was anyway. Back to my point. So basically, when you do the overlay, that's the key part. Is how far do you overlay when you say this part is the previous president, this part is the current president. I will be honest, I will not credit Mr. Obama for probably more than 4 months because a lot of his policies were deactivated by executive order within 4 months of Trump taking office. I want to say it was no more than 4 months. And he deactivated a lot of Obama's policies. One was banning the offshore drilling. The Iran, the money to Iran. I can't remember if that was later or not. I'm trying to remember. The payouts, I can't remember. Now, like I said, I'm not blaming Obama for the bad numbers he had at the beginning of his term. Okay? Like I said, there was a global recession. But his policies did not improve that recession. That's it. They were slower than it should have been. But no, it never trended up. It always stagnated. It always stagnated. That's the thing. Everybody says, oh, it trended up, it trended up. It didn't. It was flat. I want to say it was flat until when did the Republicans take Congress? Um, Somebody help me out here. I'm trying to remember the year. Oh, 04, right? Yeah, but like I said, again, tuned off, that's where you're looking at the point of 2009. We were in a global recession. Everybody was hitting rock bottom. Everybody around the world. Now go look at 2016. It was a point or two better. No. Not the Senate. I'm talking about both House and both sides. It was honestly, it was stagnant. And again, this is one of those where I don't blame the president, I blame Congress. So if you want to yell at Republicans in Congress, be my guest. Because I won't argue with you in the slightest. They fuck things up so badly at times. But yeah, we were either dropping or stagnant every month until the Republicans had both the House and the Senate. Because nothing was getting through. There was nothing coming out of the House to get past the Senate. There was nothing coming out of the Senate to get past the House. All right, 2010. I was thinking 2008, but I could be wrong. But we were stagnant. There was no GDP growth. We did go from unemployment of minus 16 to minus 9, but it should have been better than that. And one of the things to think about is, and this is always where I've always made this argument. The media will always pull the worst case numbers. Okay? They will always do it. Unless it's somebody they want, then they'll pull the numbers they want. So if you ever go back and look at, and again, we're talking about as Americans, because again, we are American, or at least most of us are. No offense, Red. Whenever they looked at George W. Bush and how things were going bad, and they were going bad, like I said, because there was a global recession coming, the first thing they would point out are the U6 numbers. That was always the first thing they'd point out, because those were hitting deep double digits. Okay? When Obama came into office, it wasn't the U6 numbers. They moved the goalposts and said, let's look at the U3 numbers instead. If you have look at the U3 numbers between Bush to Obama through that entire time, yes, Bush did have it go down, but it wasn't as drastic as people made it out to be. I won't say drastic because it was still drastic, but the numbers were bad, but they looked worse depending on which numbers you use. That's why Mark Twain always said there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. I think that's the quote. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. But let me get, so for instance, you know, for instance, when next year rolls around, there are only going to be 3 candidates that are even considered, or 4 candidates that are going to be considered: Biden, Harris, Sanders, and Warren. All right, and this is going to get back into we're getting back into the press thing for a minute. Go look at the negative coverage the press does for Bernie Sanders. And you will see some negative coverage just because they know his policy is a disaster. All right? There's your problem, Tuned Off. All right? You're going to vote for whichever Democrat comes out. That's your problem right there. I don't vote party line. I refuse to vote party line. So if no, whoa, hold on. We're gonna get to that in a minute. Look at the negative coverage that comes out against Kamala. She is not going to be the final choice because of her history, so to speak, and the fact that she lies on air about just the littlest things. Snoop Dogg wasn't around when she was in college, and she still says she smoked pot and listened to Snoop Dogg because she wanted to be hip and tied in. Biden is going senile. I'm sorry. He is going senile. Ow. My leg just cramped up. All right, well, let me ask you this, Toon. All right? Let's just say these tariffs against China work, and companies start coming back to the U.S., start hiring employers. And I can give you an example where I really disagree with Trump. So give me a minute. I'll give you a good one. Okay? I just lost my train of thought. Oh, the press. Go look at how many negative stories they've written about Warren. 0. Now I'm talking about mainstream media. I'm talking about ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, CNN, the big boys. I'm not talking about the websites. I'm not talking about the Young Turks. I'm not talking about any of those. All right? There is almost no negative press about Warren because that's who they want in. All right? Now, I'll give you a huge example where I disagree with Trump. I have never been a fan of the H-1B visa program. Never. It's basically saying, hey, you Indians, hey, you Japanese, hey, you Chinese, come over here, take some classes, get, what's the word I'm looking for? Authenticated, certified, and then we'll give you an H-1B visa. Meanwhile, we got people like Tuned Off, like Spock, like myself, who busted our butts, went to college, studied computers, studied technology, studied this, but we're at the bottom of the line for any job that an H-1B visa can get. And I blame people like Jeff Bezos, Steve Gates, what's the one down in Houston? There's a company in Houston that's really bad about H-1B visas. And Trump wants to increase the number of H-1B visas. I will dispute him till the day is over, until I'm out of breath. There should be no more H-1B visa increases. In fact, I think there should be a reduction in it. No, not Halliburton. It's a tech company, because that's where H-1Bs are usually pushed through. That's why I am happy to say I voted for Josh Crowley, because after he gets done with this media bias with the technology things, I'm hoping that's who he goes after next. No, I have no problem with ones that want to come here legally, but we're making it easier for them to come here legally and making it harder for those of us that are here to do good jobs or get good jobs. I have no problem with any immigrant that follows the rules and comes in legally. Not a one. But the rules are so lax for H-1Bs that it's still giving advantages to people coming in from overseas rather than the people here getting the opportunity. Because I want to say McConnell is a disaster when it comes to H-1Bs. All right, well, let me ask you this, Tuned Off. All right, you don't think we're competing with immigrants? Are you out looking for a technology job? Now, bear with me when I ask this, okay? Are you out there looking for a... No, we're not talking educated ones. And I will explain why in a minute. You know all these for-profit schools that basically been folding up lately? They're called H-1B paper mills. And I'll explain this one. This, like I said, this I know. This I know real well. Have you lately been looking for anything in a technology type job? STEM, specifically STEM jobs. And just go with me on this one for a minute, okay? Okay, so you can't speak on that one. That's where my college and my training and my job experience has been, is STEM jobs, computer side. I get emails constantly from headhunters basically saying, do you want this job in West Virginia? Do you want this job in New Mexico? Do you want this job in Minnesota? Interested in this job in Minnesota? So on and so forth. They don't ever look to see if there's anything around me that I might be interested in. Why? Because a lot of these H-1B paper mills get paid by the number of people they bring in. They don't get paid by the number of jobs they fill. They get paid by the number of people they bring in. That's the difference. There was a big thing done by Daily Beast, I think, at one point, where they listed 10 of the top companies that would apply for the most H-1B permissions. And it basically, Microsoft was at the top of the list. You know, so they went to Microsoft and said, why don't you hire American workers for this rather than H-1Bs? And it was because we can get the H-1Bs for a fraction of the cost that it would cost as an American worker. So, for those of you that complain that we don't do enough for minimum wage, it's kind of like you're arguing both sides. It's like, well, these guys deserve to be paid more, but these guys don't deserve to be paid more. It doesn't make sense. And like I said, I wish I could remember the name of the company in Houston. But there was a school out in California. Okay? It was a for-profit school. And basically what it was they would bring in people that were trying to apply for H-1Bs. And they were like 50 to 70 people per class. And they had to get through one year. If they got through the year, they got an H-1B. Then they would get hired by a company for really cheap. And I mean really cheap. And you just continue the cycle. And then when their H-1B wore out, they shipped them back and then would bring in the next H-1B person. Now that's capitalism, and that's fine and dandy, and that's what you're allowed to do under the rules that are on the books. But now, and again, this is my argument, those rules are fine. We've got the guidelines that we can play with. Now they want to increase the H-1Bs so that that goalpost gets moved again. Now instead of bringing in 100,000 people, we bring in 200,000 people. Meanwhile, John and Joe Tundov, who is looking for a job that could help their family or themselves, can't get it because we just increased the number of H-1Bs. They're not even going to look at you. No, they're not specialty jobs. I'm not talking about the specialty. These are basic technology jobs. These are very basic technology jobs. Now, if you're talking about labor jobs, that H-1B doesn't apply. That's the standard H-1 visas or whatever, which is not my field of what I know. So that one I can't say yes or no on. The trick is, okay, that if you come in on a standard visa, a work permit, do you leave? Does that immigrant leave when his permit's out and then reapply like he's supposed to? That's the argument on that one, tuned off. Like I said, I have no problem with an immigrant that comes to the States legally, gets their visa, gets their work permit, does their job that they've been brought in to do for 6, 8, 12, 24 months, and then go back and then do the process again. That's what the rules are designed for. I have no problem with anybody like that. It's the ones that come over 6, 8, 12 months, their visa runs out. I'm not leaving. You have to follow the rules when it comes to getting hired to do a job. I have to follow the rules. Why don't these people have to follow the rules? And these people is kind of the wrong way to say it, because it sounds bad when you say it that way. Ow. Like I said, that's why I will always be a fan of E-Verify. I will never be a fan of raising H-1B visa counts. Punish the companies that hire people illegally. I got no problem with that. They broke the rules. That's on them. It's both. It's both. The company is breaking the rules by hiring people they're not supposed to hire. The workers that are getting paid that way are breaking the rules because why are there any people who get a pass on the rules? Yeah, exactly. Why are there anybody that gets a pass on breaking a rule or law? Like I said, I was a huge, because E-Verify did not punish the immigrants, the person that came in. It punished the company that hired them illegally. I'll give you another example. No, H-1B visas do not provide talent in specialized industries compared to what we already have. That's the thing. H-1B visas have been so abused. And again, that's on the companies as well. And I blame the companies a lot. H-1Bs have been so abused by companies. But as the average employee, all you or I see. All right, I'll give you an example. All right. Now this is going to sound a little simplistic. So let's say we got red, and I'm putting you as an American red, just so bear with me. Tuned off, Listy, Spock, and whoever else is here on the channel. We're all job seekers. Okay? There's 4 of us. All right? There are 2 jobs available. I'm competing with you, and you. Company A says, let's increase the number of H-1B visas. So last week, there was 1 H-1B visa equivalent that came in. Very, very true, Spartan. Very true. Like I said, that's why I said I've always been in favor of E-Verify. Now there are 6 that we brought in. All right, so we went from the 4 employees competing with each other and 1 person that earned an H-1B visa. Then we had the H-1B visa mill. Now we got the 4 competing with each other and 7 over on the other end who say, I'll do it for a lot cheaper. Or I'll do it through the paperwork and then you can do the workaround with the taxes and stuff. Guess which 4 people are left out? Guess which 3 people on the incoming side are left out? Why am I thinking it might be Texas Instruments I'm thinking of? No. I won't say it's affirmative action, Spock. I won't go that far. It might have been Texas Instruments that I was thinking of as being the Texas company. It might have been Texas Instruments. Might have been. Like I said, I just know it was either a Houston or I know it was a Texas company. Uh, but how are you doing today? Spartan, what's good? Well, I have zero problem if they say it's to bring in more minorities or women. That is a good thing. That is a very good thing. Like I said, I want them to follow the same rules everybody else does. But when you change the rules to make it harder for the Americans to get the job, there's something wrong with that system. Yes, the job should go to the best candidate with the best return of investment. That's the thing that I disagree with a lot of people about. It's like I will hire better if I were to run a company. I would hire more expensive people if I got a better return of investment. That's always the key is the ROI. And I get that. Because like I said, I am a capitalist at heart. I am a capitalist at heart. I want these companies to do what's best at the bottom line for them so they can hire more people and work it that way. But I don't want them bending and breaking the rules or changing the rules to fit just them. This has been one of those weird nights. I'm supposed to be actually working on my coding for some of the games, and we've been doing more political talk than anything. All right, so the word minority is used to describe human populations of millions. Yes, it is, and it's not always true. It's not always true what somebody would describe as a minority as a minority. It's one of those terms that's kind of lost its meaning. No, like if you want, if all right, Toon, let me say it this way: if you are going to vote Democrat down the line, it is not Yang who is your best bet. It's Tom Meyer. I don't agree with everything Meyer says. I don't agree with everything Meyer says. But I cannot buy into Yang's UBI. I can't do it. Exactly. Capitalism without work is not capitalism. Humanity needs an update and a reboot of the entire system. See, I don't buy that. I don't buy that one, Spartan. It's basically, it's sort of like the garden. You can remove the weeds and the garden will grow. In this case, to me, the weeds are things such as the belief in the socialism policy. I will never believe in a socialism policy. Like I said, you guys look at Venezuela. Venezuela is a disaster. Mm. But that's no different than anybody else, Tunda. That's no different than anybody else. So that makes him and Trump and Johnson and Hickenlooper. I'm not going to say Williamson because she's a Fruit Loop. Who's the other? And Gabby. Great. Those people who work should prosper. But we can't catch everybody that doesn't work. All right, so where was I? I was working on these things, so bear with me. All right, so I got to figure out how to do a triple load here. I got to figure out how to do a triple load. No, you don't want to be under a true capitalistic country. Because then you are going to end up in the Metropolis. If you ever seen Metropolis movie, you're going to end up in that situation where it becomes a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word where the companies run everything. I can't think of the term now. It's not oligarchy. Yeah, they are deeper than that, Spartan. They are deeper than that. I mean, you can't. I mean, that's just using layman's terms. And technocracy. Thank you. That's what I was trying to think of, Spot. But, and again, this is one of those examples where Warren would be a disaster. Warren basically wants to say, forget all college debts. No public universities can charge money. What's the other thing she's been harping on? I'm trying to remember what the other thing she's harping on is. Forgiveness of all student loans. Public universities cannot charge you money. And there's a third thing on her quick list. And I can't think of it now off the top of my head. All right? All right, I'm going to go to university for free. You're going to teach me for free. What does the professor get out of it? Doesn't get a paycheck because I can't charge you for it. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Spartan. Is a meritocracy. A capitalistic meritocracy is your best combination of the two. I don't know about geniocracy. But if you have a combination of a meritocracy and a capitalist society, in my opinion, there you've got the best of both worlds. And like I said, it won't be perfect. No system is going to be perfect. All right, fire away. Now, I'm not going to guarantee I'm going to know it or be right, Spartan. Like I said, we got into a thing like my one thing I hate about Trump, and that was the H-1B thing. But again, that's McConnell, that's Graham, that's Reid, that's Pelosi, that's Trump. That's pretty much everybody. No, but that's what Warren wants. That's what Warren wants. She has said free college universities No public university should be allowed to charge to teach. She has said that. So who's going to pay for the classrooms? Who's going to pay for the building? Who's going to pay for the teachers? And so on and so forth. Okay, let's see. You're selecting 100 people to live in a deep space station. How many bankers are you putting in it? Ooh. But you're forcing people to volunteer, tuned off. That's the problem. You're forcing people to volunteer, so it's no longer a volunteer. I'm putting together a colony of 100 people. How many bankers? I would say less than 5%. Maybe maybe 5%. But I'm looking at it as, am I looking at it as somebody is going to take whatever we put into the system and invest it to try to get more out of it? Or am I doing it as a standard banker who just basically takes your money, stores it, and loans it out? See, I'm not sure 0 would be the right answer. It depends on how we're defining a banker. Because you have to remember, a banker is basically a mini government. A banker is a good position to use in that regards. So it's basically, I don't know if I would say 0. If I'm treating them as they decide who's investing where, or assist in deciding who invests where. So it would depend on what your banker's responsibilities are, Spartan. Yeah, if no one can be charged, you can't tax for it. So instead of taxing income, you're going to tax what? Time? But that's local, tune up. That's local. That's a big difference. And that goes back to Spartan's thing. Is who do you trust to do what's best for the colony? Now, it puts a lot of power in the investor's hands. Doctors, physicians, physicists, pilots, engineers, botanists, bankers get floated. No, okay, I'll give you a good example, and he's one of my favorite authors. He is Robert Heinlein. Okay, uh, if you've never read A Man in the Moon, okay, or the man who owned the moon, the man who owned the moon, or the man in, something like that. The engineer is going to build something that we need, but he needs financing of some sort to build it. So he's got to get that from somebody. That's why I say there's a little difference in just using the plain term of banker. The term I would recommend is investor capitalist, for the lack of a better term. Oh, I have no problem with kids going. I would actually prefer every kid that gets out of high school either go straight into the job source, try to, or go to a trade school. But yeah, Spock's right. There's a cost to getting materials. No, 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 no. You're thinking money though. Okay, you're thinking money. Think of it this way: Professor, the engineer A, comes up with a great way to produce diamonds. I'm trying to think of something. I'm picking some random thing out of there. Comes up with a fantastic way to do a faster job of core mining. I am not a total fan of the English system because they try to force you in a certain direction instead of doing what's best for you or what you can learn to. Okay? So we need a way to trade, but how can I tool? So let's say that the engineers come up with a way to do faster drilling to get more materials. It's up to the banker to decide. Or I don't want. I hate using the word decide. The worth. But it would be up to the investor to say your return of investment for this machine is X, and I can take part of X that you produce and I can go loan it to this other guy who's going to use it for something else, and so on and so on. And it's you have to think about it, like I said, not in terms of money. That's why it was kind of an iffy thing where I was leaning. I could see where you were going with the zero bankers, but if I need somebody to say I can supply you with the materials you need more so than the money you need, then it makes a little more sense, at least in my argument. All right, bear with me, guys, because I am not working on this program like I should be. No. All right, so we need. All right, so we're going to do car number because we're trying to keep it consistent across the board. Car number equals 0. Alright, actually I can do this. Let's see, temp 3 will be car file. Temp 2 will be car file. And temp 1 will be car file. Now, if you're talking about a banker in terms of money, I agree. I can see the zero argument. But then you're working on a pure, almost pure barter system. And you could argue that Jamestown, when it almost went under, kind of proved the pure barter system doesn't work. Capitalism as a temporary tool. Uh, that depends. Okay, and the reason I will say that depends is because in your example of a space colony, everybody's already agreed to one currency type for the most part. If you have a colony, and again, this is where I love Heinlein because he does this all the time. He will talk about the Chinese colony, New Hong Kong. And then he'll talk about the country colonies, which are basically based on the South United States. And he does a good job of trying to put them together. Where they came up with one currency, you had to buy your oxygen, and that's how they did it. You can't afford your oxygen, you're going to die. And like I said, Heinlein is probably the closest author I can think of who has argued, and again, he argues more along the lines of a libertarian policy, that in a very, very controlled environment, socialist policy might work. But it's got to be very tight, it's got to be very internal. It's got to be very strict in terms of what happens when somebody new comes in and upsets the balance. Well, see, Toon, that's what I would argue with you, that if you are complaining that previous politicians are reactive, you must love Trump. He is not reactive. He's basically said, do this or this happens. That was the big thing with the tariffs. He basically put his foot down and said, this is what's going to be done or else. And he gets lambasted for it. Now, I don't know. I honestly don't know enough about Yang other, like I said, than the UBI. To argue whether or not he would be as proactive in that regard. And that's the funny thing, is everybody yells when Trump does his tweeting. But it's like, if you ever notice, it's almost like he's one step ahead for the most part when he does it. And then that's what everybody talks about. So he's making everybody else reacting to him. Now, does he do it with decorum? No. But sometimes, you know what they say, right? It's easier to catch flies with honey than vinegar. And sometimes it's easier to catch flies with vinegar than honey. Now, see, if Yang is an anti-Second Amendment person, I don't want him. If Yang cried for somebody because gun control, uh-uh. Now, I don't have a problem with a politician or a leader crying when it's needed or when it's appropriate. And I don't have a problem with a politician showing sympathy.
And now a game of high stakes, where every decision is a gamble and every move could be your last.
But I picture Yang as a UBI fan, which again is strike one for me.
And here's the man with all the action.
He's a fan of, and anybody that knows him, because again, I don't know, I'm guessing here. I see him as a fan of and no offense to you, Red, the Canadian medical system or the NHS system. No, that would be strike two. Oh, I prefer them to be strong at all times, but I mean, there's going to be times when they're caught being emotional. It's just human nature. Like I said, that's one of the reasons I admired Bush Jr. is you knew he was compassionate. You knew he was compassionate. And occasionally, when some sad story came along that he had to work with, whether it was 9/11, whether it was Katrina, whether it was something of that sort, okay, I get that. Young's stance on the Second Amendment is that responsible gun owners should. All right, well, that's reasonable, but how does he define responsible? And again, I said like a couple hours ago, I have no problem requiring licensing for gun ownership. I have no problem with having to go to educational classes for gun ownership. I'm probably a little softer than most in that one. But I would counter that with saying there are no limitations to what you can own. I mean, granted, I will never need a bazooka. But if I'm responsible enough to own it and not go shooting out my neighbor's windows, why shouldn't I own one? So yeah, I'm probably a little softer than most of my conservative colleagues and friends on that regard, because I know a lot of them that don't approve of even licensing. Because the argument is, well, they'll know you have the guns. And I'm like, yeah, they're going to know I'm going to have the guns, and they know I'm going to defend myself. Whether it's from bad guys or the government trying to take me over. That was my argument earlier, Spartan. I used that argument with Tundov. It's like, okay, I'm going to give you a computer, okay? And I'm going to include the ability to program a hacking software. or I'm going to include an easy to use hacking software. I've just given you a dangerous damn weapon. But I'm not requiring. I haven't required you to get licensed to use it, have I? That was my exact argument I used with Toondorf earlier.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome to Breaker Man.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, where were we? We were working on. This has actually been fun. Not doing a game show, but like just like talking, straight talking, standard talking. This has actually been a lot of fun. All right, so I need to do file number equals free file. All right, so I need to do this. Oh wait, wrong one. I need the sub 100 section. This is what I love about coding. A lot of it is just cut and replace. See, and the funny thing is, I tell my wife that I don't consider myself libertarian per se, but if the Constitution Party ever put together a legitimate candidate, that would be my first vote. Problem is, they're like stupid, and the Constitution Party always puts in stupid people, or people that you know don't have a shot of even cracking the interest level. Alright, so we're going to do open temp 1. Now, Ron Paul still said that America is bad. That was my problem with Ron Paul. Ron Paul was American exceptionalism doesn't exist or shouldn't exist. And I go back to the U.S. Army statement: "Be all you can be." Back before they kind of got, what's the word? Neutered. You go out to do the best at everything you can. Otherwise, why do it? If you're not trying to be the best at something, why are you doing it in the first place? That's my question. And it's always been my argument against Ron Paul. Alright, so we need to do prize number 1. Let's see if I have this right. Or wait. Exactly, Spartan. Like I said, I don't have a problem with taking a protectionist attitude. A protectionist attitude is fine. It's depending on the world situation. But you don't just basically close the doors and pretend nothing else happens outside of them. And I can give you a good example of somebody in history that was like that. And that was Charles Lindbergh. Charles Lindbergh was accused of being a Nazi sympathizer because he favored an isolationist policy. At the time, it was a bad idea because you guys saw what happened with Nazi Germany. It just grew and grew and grew, and there was nobody to stop it. And we had, at least for an early part of FDR's candidacy, even though... No. It never says we should be isolationist. Um, a very early part of FDR's candidacy was isolationism. It was whatever happens outside the borders of the U.S. happens. Well, the catch to that is, all right, well, what happens to the U.S. associated areas and policies of the world? You cannot close the doors entirely, as nice as that would seem. It's sort of like saying, all right, I'm closing my doors. I'm not going to know what, I'm not going to care about anything that happens. Every house on your block gets robbed. Sooner or later, there's going to be nobody else left to rob. They're going to come for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the master of the house, Bob Bunkhouse.
Yeah, that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand is the Constitution was not designed to give government power. It was designed to say, you can't do this. Now, I will disagree with you, Spock, on we don't have any federal laws to control anyone not coming into the country. The Constitution actually says the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, but number 2 on that list are treaties by the Senate. That's actually in there. And we've done a trivia question on that at one point, where the highest law in the land of the United States is anything in the Constitution. The second highest law in the land are any treaties signed by the United States that are approved and ratified by the Senate. But yeah, the isolationist thing would go back to, for instance, we were talking about the energy thing in the nuclear power plants. All right, we close our doors. Nothing can get in, nothing can get out. Russia blows up another nuclear power plant because of bad safety measures. And then the fallout kills whatever comes out of Germany. No, treaties are actually considered federal law. Treaties that are approved by the Senate are actually considered federal law. That's why there was a big to-do about the sea treaty. What was the sea treaty the Senate was going to ratify? I can't think of it, but it was a treaty the Senate was going to ratify at one point that basically gave the United Nations, full control of international waters. And it raised hell. Not in the media, unless you were watching C-SPAN or if you were watching a couple of the really, really, really good independent ones. And I will even give, I think, Sky News credit on that one. They went ballistic over that. And it's not the SALT Treaty. That's the Strategic Arms one. But it was like land of the sea, or shoot, I can't remember the name of the treaty now. I cannot remember the name of the treaty now. But it literally would have given global rights to anything that happened in the ocean to the United Nations. And like I said, it ended up causing a big stink. Because UK, for instance, is an island nation. So it's basically, our borders are surrounded by the UN. I think it was the UK and Iceland. No, was it the UK? I want to say Iceland, but it might have been somebody else that just raised holy hell about that one. Yeah, Convention on the Law of the Sea. That's the one. I think that's the one. No, because it had an anagram to it. It's the same principle tuned off, but I don't think that's the right term. Lost. Law of the Sea Treaty. That's what it was. It was the Lost Treaty. And two nations literally said, hold it. It's basically anything that happens right outside our land borders, you're responsible for. And it was like, yeah. And it's like, oh no, we are protecting our shores. And if that means we have to go out to international waters to do it, we are going to do it. But I want to say it was UK. It might have been New Zealand. It might have been. But the funny thing was, the U.S. Senate was ready to ratify it. The U.S. Senate was ready to say, yep, it's all yours. And then somebody pointed out, well, when any U.S. based ship goes into international waters, it's no longer U.S. territory. And it was like, oops. But I do remember it was called the Lost Treaty, L-O-S-T. And I want to say it's Law of the Sea Treaty. All right, so where was I? Prize number. All right, so we need to put prize number here. All right, so yeah, pretty much, Martin. And it was basically if a ship was taken over by the UN, and this, like I said, I think this is what it caught. The UN could say this ship is now the property of whomever they wanted. And it was actually written into the treaty that way. Yep, it was when your ship entered my territory, it became my property, and I can give it to whomever I want. And like I said, and Bush made some serious mistakes, but Bush was in favor of it. The Senate was in favor of it, and this was when it was a Republican Senate. And I want to say this was one the Democrats got right. I want to say this was one the Democrats got right because they were the ones that opposed it. Because Virginia basically said we're losing all our ships. And I was like, yep, you're losing all your ships the moment you cross international boundaries. And the other thing was, I don't think they could agree on what an international boundary line was. I know there's a number for it. I know there's a number where it's so many miles out. But there was some dispute about that. But yeah, that one I kind of remember because, like I said, I'm on a sports forum and we have our own political board. And I remember that being a huge point of debate. I do remember that being a huge point of debate at the time. Alright, so... Alright, I need 99... So I need this one. I don't think that's right. No, maybe it will be. Let's find out. I'm going to post that in there. Alright, so we're going to do... Let's set that up as 1. And I only need less than 100 for the first one. And like I said, I'm no political genius. I just pay attention to stuff. I will admit that. I'm no guru. I will admit, like I said, I lean on the conservative side of things. And I'm willing to give credit where credit is due. And like I said, Tuned Off, I'm telling you, and not to try to change your mind, but if you are considering Yang, I would still say go look up Tom Meyer. If you are dead set on voting for a Democrat on that side of the spectrum, he is the guy that I would look at. Oh, see, that's your first problem. You majored in political science. Remember the joke about psychology and so on and so forth? It is. I mean, we will admit that. Politics is a circus. At least it is now. And I will say, we have to blame Republicans for that. Ever since, it just depends on the meaning of the word is. Not voting. No, see, I will disagree with you there. I want to at least have a say-so in... I can at least go and say, I had an opinion on something. Alright, let's see. I don't know if this is this one. And like I said, knowing me, like I said, when the last elections rolled around, I voted for Trump for one reason. I did not want Hillary being able to choose a Supreme Court justice. Anything I got other than that was a bonus. Anything I got other than that, to me, was a bonus. And he's done some things I like. And he's done some things I don't like. And like I said, the funny thing is, and what people don't realize about Trump is up until 6 years ago, 7 years ago, he was Democratic through and through. But he was what I would call a blue dog Democrat. Which is what the Democrats need. Exactly, Tuned Off. I think other than there's one female judge that was on his list, Amy something. I can't think of what it was. I think he nailed it with the choices. I think he nailed it with his choices. Yeah, exactly. There's nobody better as an option to replace him. I'm trying to think. Now, because I will admit, last election, I was a Scott Walker guy. And Scott basically just fell apart early and out. But right now, with things working like they are, the economy's going, and like I said, I'm one of these people, I don't need my economy to be doing 2.4 GDP every month. If I get a 1% GDP growth, hey, that's growth. Who's the female Spock that was named Amy? I can't think of her name. Yeah, like I said, I like Gabbard. She is the one Democrat out of all of them that I would consider. Would I vote for her at the end of the day? I don't know. I am not a fan because she is a very big gun grabber. She's a very big gun grabber. That's my one thing against. Thank you. That was it. Amy Barrett. I wanted, instead of Kavanaugh, that's who I wanted him to nominate last time. I said point one. Point one, Spartan. I look at it this way. Growth is growth. If it's 1% growth, great. If it's 2% growth, great. If it's just 0.3% growth or 0.1% growth, that's fine by me. That's growth. That means we're doing something right. Every so often, you have to take baby steps. But yeah, it was Kavanaugh would have been my second choice. Amy Barrett would have been my first choice on that nomination. Because I liked a lot of what she had written and said. And like I said, I get a feeling, I've got this funny feeling that no. Bootleg is so far out there. Bootleg is, and this is going to sound funny to say, is AOC without the baggage. That's what I think of Mayor Pete. Now, I will be honest, the guy that did scare me up until last year when he got in on the race baiting stuff was Cory Booker. Or not Cory Booker, Julian Castro. Right, exactly. Slow, smart growth is much better. Because if you go slow, and there is and if there is a recession coming, which is still just speculation, it's going to take longer to roll around, and you got more time to prepare for it. You're going to have more time to prepare for it with slower growth. And like I said, that's where the media is just a nightmare. Oh, it only went up 0.3%, or it only went up 1%. But Castro was the one that I thought was going to be in the driver's seat for the Democrats this time around. But it's not. And I think it's because he hasn't really been anything more than a mayor of a Texas town. Well, like I said, I'm not arguing that fact, too. Obama had a hole he had to dig out of. Like I said, that's where that global recession comes in, and that's something you can't control. Greece goes bankrupt, and this is Greece we're talking about. Little Greece that has no economic power. And it sets a thing, a chain in motion, that's a disaster. Like I said, but you have to pay attention. And again, this is not me crediting Trump or Obama. The purse strings have always been tied to the House of Representatives and the Senate. Always. I don't think Biden can beat Trump. I don't think Harris can beat Trump. It's like if you elect Biden, you get a couple of New England states. If you nominate Harris, your status quo. It's like, oh, you got California. Well, you've always had California. But once you get outside of California and Washington and Oregon, if it's Harris, I don't see her taking a single state anywhere from Nevada over until maybe Minnesota. I don't. I see Biden getting a couple, but I don't see him getting a couple that are good enough because, again, he has shown too many signs of senility. I don't see Sanders breaking the status quo. No. Bernie will not win Rust Belt states. It will not happen. If Bernie is the nominee, you get California, you get Vermont, you get Minnesota, you get Washington, D.C., maybe Oregon. That's it. You are not going to convince Texas, Missouri, Nebraska, Ohio, Indiana. You are not going to convince them that Bernie can win the Rust Belt states. It is not happening. No, he won't win Michigan. He cannot win Michigan. He cannot win Pennsylvania. It won't happen. Bernie has slammed coal mining industry. He has slammed every big business. You just shot Michigan down. You've just killed everybody in Pennsylvania. No, Florida won't be an X factor this year. Florida will be flippable. The problem is I see more states flipping back to Trump than Florida will cover. Well, like I said, the joke is, and this is why I've always hated Democrats and Democratic state legislatures that have said, yeah, whatever the popular vote is, that's who we'll give our electoral votes to. Congratulations, you just gave control of the country to 23 counties. That is a proven number. That is a proven number. Is if you go by popular vote, you just basically told everybody that does not live in New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Cleveland? I think Cleveland? Your votes don't count. No, tuned off. No. Hell no. I do not. You have just told the entire state of Missouri. You have told the entire state of Iowa. You have told the entire state of Wyoming, Mississippi, Alabama, that their votes don't count. Because that's why we are bicameral. That's why we are bicameral. That's why we have a House of Representatives, to balance out the Senate. Your vote doesn't count 6 times less. That's a misnomer. That is a total misnomer. Now, if you want to go, if you want Florida to go absorb Alabama and make one big state with a lot more electoral votes, fine. That's just it. We're not a democracy. We have never been a pure democracy, Spartan. We are a democratic republic. We have always been a democratic republic. No. No, 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 no. That is not how it works. Let me put it this way, okay? By that argument, tuned off, you should never vote. If you don't live in Miami or Broward County, your vote doesn't count. Again, like I said, I think it's Broward County. There are 6 counties in New York. The 20, the 10 plus in Los Angeles, and then the counties in Ohio. Now, see, I won't argue with you there, Spartan. That I will not argue with you. I have, and I will get in trouble for saying this, and well, I guess I won't say I will agree with you entirely because it's your right as an American. Because you are American, you are able to vote. So I'm going to get in trouble saying I would have minimal issue with people that have to know civics to vote. Which is what Tundov is proposing if we get rid of the Electoral College. Now, if you want to argue that votes could be split in a state, and again, Maine does it, Nebraska does it. Those are the only two that do it. You might be able to get people to argue in favor of that. But then again, now you're killing in-state voters. Okay? So now you're telling, and I'm going to use Florida for the example. You're telling all Florida residents that however Miami votes, because there's pretty much, and I always assume Miami is the big population center. However Miami, Orlando, and Pensacola vote, that's how the rest of the state's going to go. Because, again, you are voting by state. You are not voting by cameral region. And you can argue, and this is an argument I've heard. Now let me see if I just lost my train of thought on this one. You can argue that if you broke up states by percentage, I've never actually read a Trump book. I have never read a one. There's an argument that if you do it by state percentage, you're still going to unfavor larger numbers of people. And again, so tune offs, that's a good example. Trump got like 35% of the vote there. So by that argument, Trump gets 35% of the electoral votes? No. He didn't win the popular vote in California. He doesn't get the votes in California. And like I said, I've seen people argue both ways. Um, like I said, anybody that argues to get rid of the electoral college is making a mistake. That's why we are a republic and not a democracy. We take all six, seven of us, and we say we're voting on. I'm trying to think of something simple. We're voting on the best donut flavor. Spock says custard. Everybody looks at Spock like, custard? Yeah, you got a problem with that? Yeah. All right, well, my vote's not counting anymore. You vote without me. And that goes back to the isolationist thing, in my opinion. Cities have to worry about their cities. And I will give you an example, and I will use Missouri as my example. Citywide, St. Louis will never vote a Republican into mayorship or anything of the sort. Columbia probably never will. Nope. Majority said that it was custard tuned off. Vanilla's just out of luck. You can only have one favorite. Again, we're voting for one favorite. You can't say, oh, custard is favorite of 55, vanilla is favorite of 45. So, all right, Red, have yourself a good one, senor. I know you were probably bored with all the politics talk. I'm going to get ready to wrap it up, too, because I am not paying attention to my programming like I should be. But yeah, like I said, it's... So let me close that out and save that one. Yeah, because I'm getting hungry, actually. It's already 2 o'clock in the morning. I haven't eaten since a while. I think all I've had today is actually donuts. That's why I was talking donuts a minute ago. But it has been fun, guys. It has definitely been fun. It's definitely been interesting. And like I said, there was no name calling. There was no nastiness. It was just basically we're talking about politics and thinking and how we felt. Let me see. Did I miss it? Is you had a genius tell humanity what exactly should be done right. There is a short story. It's not Philip K. Dick. There's a great short story, Spartan, and I don't remember who wrote it, where he told them how to solve all of it. He said, I know how you can solve all your problems. And they killed him because they was like, well, what are we going to do once we solve all the problems? And they didn't want a solution for that one. I wish I could remember the short story for that one. God, now you got me thinking. I read it back in like 8th grade literature class. Hey TTL, how you doing today? We're getting ready to wrap things up tonight. We've been doing a little VBA editing, not as much as I had intended, and a lot of political discussions tonight. Basically we've been having fun tonight because, like I said, this is Labor Day weekend. In the Matrix, yeah, but that was a perfect world where humanity wasn't needed, so to speak. Never base anything off of movies, Spartan. It's just too easy to turn those around. But yeah, guys, with that, we're gonna wrap things up tonight. Hope you guys had fun. I actually had an amazing time with this discussion. And like I said, it was basically we're talking about it. We say what we believe. Nobody yelled at anybody. Nobody called anybody any names. And I love the banker question, Spartan. I got to really think about that one now. I'm still thinking I got to have at least one. Okay, I still got to have my 5%, I think. But you got to be thinking about that one now. I got to work on that one. All right, guys. So with that, you guys have yourselves a very, very, very good evening. And we will see you guys. Tonight is video game. We're going to do Dos Ex. We're going to keep playing Dos Ex tonight. And then I might do another game show stream on Monday. Um, so, the video game stream, guys, we do not do on D Live. It's all on Twitch. I know I gotta do the PlayStation to the Gato card at some point. I will get it done. So make sure you guys check us out on twitch.com/listwits tonight for a little Dos Ex, Mankind United, or Mankind Divided. And then Monday, oh, and then I'm going to try to join Guy on Guy with Trivia tonight, if I can remember and pay attention to the game and the clock. And then to Monday, I may do a bonus stream. I'm going to spend a lot of time tomorrow working on the um, Price is Right games. So we may do another full-time Price is Right episode Monday. We'll have to see. So with that, guys, as we always say around here, exercise your body. I'm with you 100%. But do not forget to exercise the gray cells. Because without these, the rest of them is not worth a thing. So with that, guys, we will see you guys tonight on Twitch and tomorrow Monday night on there we go. Monday night right back here on Restream. Till then, guys, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and just remember, it may be you next time that needs somebody.